It has been a long, hot, humid, frantic weekend here at Virginia International Raceway. And with all of that, we hate to see it end because we have been back at a racetrack and for a multiple race meeting as well. But if it has to end, it couldn't go any better than with Pirelli GT4 America's Sprint Championship action. Third race of the weekend, fifth round of the championship about to unfold here at this glorious racing venue. Hi everybody, Greg Creamer joined by Calvin Fish. Ryan Marine with us down in the pits and on the pre-grid. And this is now going to unfold. It's essentially a makeup race for the race, the first of the two races that were canceled when the St. Pete race was canceled earlier in the season. And so we're looking forward to this. It makes it a three-race weekend. And we have already seen some brilliant racing in this category, Cal, in the sprint race. Two different classes here. Some pretty interesting machinations unfolding at the sharp end of the pro field.
Absolutely, and what a difference a day make. Michael Cooper said the worst day of his racing career seemed to be on Friday, where nothing would go right. Technical issues with his McLaren meant that he retired from the race, got going towards the end, but you know, ultimately they turned things around. And yesterday with a safety car, our leader Spencer Pumpelly was looking to sweep the weekend. He's been on the pole every single race. Well, he got some pickup on his tires. Michael Cooper pounced. That was enough to turn the day around and grab him the championship lead. So big turnaround for that whole group there.
Yeah, you can't miss a step with this quality of pro driver in this championship. We got a great guy down in the pit lane, too. Let's hear from him. Hey, Ryan.
Hi, Greg. Hi, Cal. Great to be with you one more time here this weekend. And as we've chronicled all weekend long, this is a marathon of a weekend for Jason Bell. This will be the 8th different race he has started across 3 series here over the past 3 days. And talking to his driver coach, Andrew Davis, earlier today, I just asked, hey, how's Jason holding up? And he said he's doing pretty well, all things considered. But it has been eye-opening what you need to do to hydrate, what you need to do to be prepared for the grind that these kinds of weekends bring. And remember, this is basically his plan for the bulk of the season this year. So with that said, Andrews told me that he felt like this was actually pretty lucky to have such a hot weekend here early on in the season, because it made it clear to Jason exactly what he was going to need to do for the rest of the year and really focus him in on that preparation that is so crucial going into any race weekend, let alone one with 8 different races.
Yeah, and he's dealt with it fairly well. We've been pretty impressed. Guy that I want to call some attention to is that multicolored Kenda and Wreck Stuff Racing Mercedes of Jeff Courtney. I think he's really feels like I've got unfinished business here. He's been so close. He had a little loss of focus, as he called it, in the race yesterday. He's had opportunity. He just hasn't been able to nail that win here, but he has been fast.
Really quick, couple of podium runs, which could have been a couple of wins. But what he would like to do is to give a shout out to his crew member, Jeff Kruger, who lost his mum, Sandy, just a couple of weeks ago. So really tough times for that whole group. But for Jeff Courtney, I think the best way forward would be to win this, and that would be really a testimony to Jeff's mother, Sandy, I'm sure.
Yeah, they actually are carrying a couple of decals on the car in her memory, and he's dedicated this weekend to racing in her memory, and our thoughts are certainly with Jeff and the family as we are now getting ready to get going here and queue up. Qualified third behind Spencer and Michael Cooper on the front row. It's the number 18, and that is Jared Andretti in the Andretti Autosport McLaren, Drew Stavely in that G3 Racing, Ian Lacey Racing Mustang, James Pesic in that pink Mustang from PF Racing. That's your top 5 in all pros. And then Courtney and Dynan, Bell, Burton, Clennon. We'll talk all about them as we get this one going. 50 minutes for what is essentially the 5th round of this championship. And Spencer in that beautiful LaSalle Solutions Racers Group and Racing Series Wines Porsche, bringing them down for that green flag. And looking forward to get this final race of this wonderfully busy weekend underway here. Spencer bringing him down nice and gingerly here, very, very controlled at this point. And Cooper's anxious, you know that, watching for this green. There it goes. Boy, and Stavely popped the minute that green flag flew, but Cooper read it fairly well. We could have him 3 abreast down into 1, Cal.
Yeah, Jared Andretti right on the bumper of Spencer Pumpelly, looking for a way by. Cooper hangs tough on the outside, but it's Pumpelly to the lead. 3rd day in a row he's had the pole position. 3rd day in a row he's come out of turn 1 in the lead.
He's there. Andretti slots into the 3rd spot. Stavely looking to do something, and Andretti very smart there, the way he just kind of covered the inside a little bit on Stavely. Then that little bit of a gap back to Pesic, and then Courtney And he's going to be busy too, and a mirror full of very talented AM drivers.
Paul Terry there a little bit wide coming through turn 3 as they were side by side on this opening lap. A good clean start for Paul Terry's upper position, I believe.
Nice job as we now head through the snake and now start to climb those beautiful climbing S's. We've talked about it so much. It is a special piece of racetrack. I just love watching these cars flow through there, Cal.
Yeah, and Spencer's car really seems to come to life early. He's got a lot of energy in his tires, it seems, compared to the McLarens, but got to wait and see how those two McLarens fare. Right now, as Michael Cooper leading the way over Jared Andretti, holding down the second position there. Andy has the championship lead. It was a huge day yesterday, and what a turnaround after the safety car where he pounced on Spencer Pumpelly, who got a little bit of tire pickup on his tires, didn't have the grip to deal with Michael, and that win vaulted him back to the championship lead.
Cooper's got a run here, and it looks like, see if he's going to be able to force the issue, and Pumpelly dissuades him just enough, and Cooper tucks in.
I think Spencer's going to cover that left lane a little bit earlier next time around.
Yes.
You see a little wiggle there as he tries to get the power down.
He's pushing hard because Cooper is pushing hard. That black dog speed shop McLaren. That McLaren factory pilot behind the wheel, and Jared Andretti.
The last year that Cooper and Pumpelly very much in the mix for the championship that was won by Ian James, but Cooper had 3 wins on the year, Pumpelly 2. Couldn't match Ian James and the Panos team that had 4 wins and took the title. You would expect them to be the favorites, but Jared Andretti, such an impressive debut season in GT4 competition last year, and you know he's thinking about the big championship trophy as well.
Absolutely, and that endurance warranty window world McLaren from Andretti Autosport. Right behind him, Hugh Stavely in that G3 Ian Lacey Racing Mustang dropped off just a little bit at the early part of that lap. Looked like he's been able to close that margin down a bit.
He seemed to have the dominant car at Coda, won the first round, and Cooper managed to turn the tables on him on day 2. And I know that Drew was frustrated by that. He wanted to sweep the weekend because he knew it was a good match for his car. It doesn't seem like the Mustang is quite as potent here compared to a couple of the other brands.
By the way, a quick update. In that beautiful orange blue Cameron Racing products, Steve Cameron Racing BMW, normally that would be Sean Quinlan, the driver for that team, but he had a pretty big off in one of the races earlier in the weekend, and he forewent racing one of the races yesterday, raced this morning, and said, I got to decide how it's going to be. And Sean sent us a note and said, yeah, I'm not quite up to it. That's Steve Cameron's other big driver, Greg Leafoge, behind the wheel of that car. He's fast.
Yeah, he is, and he just takes a move there on Jeff Burton. And again, the Aston Martin seems to be struggling a little bit in the straightaway stakes compared to some of the other brands, as you can see that Greg just easily goes by him. Good little battle here with Mark Clennon aboard the Sin.
Yeah.
Trying to chase down Paul Terry here.
Clennon had a tough first race on Friday. Saturday, he showed some real speed, but then had a mechanical problem, and the car just shut down on him right by pit in. You know, if he can have the speed he had yesterday and not have any mechanical issues, he's going to be a player for a top 5 potentially, I think, in this AM class for sure, as we go back up front. And now that lead trio is gapped Stavely just a little bit once again.
Yeah, I think they just got the edge so far. I think the Bruce Stavely's just got to try and maximize his point score here today and look for a track that suits that car a little bit better. Certainly that Porsche of Spencer Pumpelly has been magnificent here this weekend. Grabbed the pole from the qualifying session, then he set fastest lap in race 1 and in race 2 to make it 3 for 3 in terms of pole position. There you see Drew all over the curbs, throwing that Mustang around, trying to wring some lap time out of it.
And behind this group, there is Pesic rounding out the top 5. Then Courtney in that Wreck Stuff Racing 99 Mercedes. And he has got Michael Dynan in the number 210 Flying Lizard Aston Martin all over him. Jason Bell having a really good run in the GMG Motorsports entry, the Osteria Kitchen and Bar, and Porsche of Tampa entry. And look at this, though, as Leafoge tried to get a run on him exiting turn 10, and Bell covered that.
That's dangerous territory there.
Yes.
Such a high-speed corner and really nowhere to go side by side. So Jason had to give up, lost a lot of ground to the duo in front of him. But what a transition from that GT2 machine back to GT4 in a matter of less than an hour.
He's been doing, oh, and here we go again. Cooper once again down to the inside. Spencer seems to be pretty confident that he can roll just enough speed, even with Cooper alongside, to get to that inside, that little right before this left plummet down the hill.
You got to be so precise with your brake pressure there to maintain the grip level and the balance in the car. Eats a lot of curb there through hogpen, but pretty effective. Cooper putting the pressure on. Andretti's dropped back just a little bit.
This is fun to watch. These are two very accomplished and fast drivers. Boy, is Cooper going to run here again?
Big time. Spencer protected to the inside and then feinted over to the left-hand side of the road. Michael thinks there's a lot more time on the clock. Don't risk anything yet. I think he'll be even more aggressive when we get to the last 5-10 minutes and they're in a similar situation. But nonetheless, Pumpelly's car looking pretty good right now up front.
Yes, indeed. There are spots where that McLaren looks to be strong and spots where, and you often see that car that's good in one part of a track might not be as good in another or as well suited, and it makes for an interesting full lap and see how that all plays out. That margin now, Andretti to Stavely about 1.5 seconds.
Pumpelly's car so good through sector one. You can see him gap Michael by about a couple of car lengths there.
And then just floating it up through the S's here.
Fastest first sector of the day for Pumpelly, 41.1 to a 41.4, so he gained 0.3 in that first sector alone. But this is the sector where Michael looks really, really quick. But Spencer seems to be able to feel confident that he can run that middle of the road and not give up the lead. Typically, you're going to protect that left-hand side as you get towards that brake zone.
Spencer got a great run out of Oak Tree that time. And might give him a little bit more of a buffer, but this is where, right about here, is where that McLaren just really has some legs. But that was a great exit by Pumpelly from Oak Tree, and that gave him car length, the breathing room.
It wasn't as close as it was the previous lap, so Michael's just got to regroup here and reassess the situation. Early on the clock, though, 42 minutes to go. A lot of laps that they've got to try and manage these tires. Heat is really ramped up here this afternoon. High 80-degree ambient. Track temperature in the triple digits.
Meanwhile, watching here, it looks as though Leafoge has been able to get by Bell, so that would put him third in the AM class. I'm not sure he's running as an AM. That's the other thing we need to clarify here. Well, he's actually already got around Dynan and is coming after Courtney. But I don't think Greg is an AM category driver. So he might actually now be running in the pro category.
I think he is, yes.
It would almost have to be, wouldn't it?
Certainly putting the pressure on.
Yes,
He's done a great job of not being distracted with that bright orange and blue BMW filling his mirrors. Dynan there. What a year he has put together. Has the AM Championship lead on the back of 3 victories out of 4 races. High-speed S's. Just run those curves just a little bit. Don't unsettle the car too much. Super precision there by Jeff Courtney. Leafoge continues to put the pressure on him. Really try and tuck it to the inside here on the entry to Oak Tree. Now the focus on rolling speed, but Michael Dynan is right there in that Flying Lizard Aston Martin. The midnight blue.
Blue Aston Martin, yes. We're clarifying that to be sure. And I do seem to recall a glance when we could get into the paddock at Circuit of the Americas. I looked at that car, and it does have a very rich blue to it. It just definitely, at times in the light, takes that black hue on. And here comes Pumpelly and the LaSalle Solutions TRG Porsche continuing to head the timesheet here by, let's see what the margin is this time. It was, he actually opened up another 10th on the Black Duck Speed Shop McLaren in the Endurance Morning Window World McLaren.
Andretti's not going away, is he?
No, he's not.
Seems like as the weekend has wound on, as now Leafoge gets down to the inside of Courtney. Can he take the position? Grip level is still there. You may be able to run around the outside like Jeff is doing. It's going to be tight. Courtney should have the inside line as they get to the brake zone for turn 3, but Leafoge tries to sweep across. Courtney goes inside. Good hard racing here. It's going to be tight on the entry to turn 4. Awesome stuff.
Leafoge, tell you what, that was close, but it was respectful, and I think Leia Fouge is a classy enough guy to know that he's not part of this championship, and he certainly doesn't want to rough anybody up. He'll race you hard. You can see he always gave Courtney a little margin there.
He did, and good to see Jeff being aggressive there. He's one of the cleanest drivers in our paddock, but didn't want to give anything up there.
So we just got confirmation that indeed Leia Fouge here is now running in the pro class. So even if he passes Courtney, Courtney would still be leading in the AM category.
Ref Courtney knows that it's Leia Fouge and not Quinlan behind the wheel, so maybe that's why he's running him pretty hard.
And whoa, change for the lead here. Cooper.
Wow, he got that done early. I wonder if Pompelli had a little bobble coming out of Oak Tree, but certainly by the time they got to the brakes, it already cleared him.
And on a hot day like this, running behind somebody.
Well, Spencer said, Greg, that Porsche is good in clean air, but if it gets behind someone, that the engine temperatures can just soar and it really falls off in terms of performance.
So Cooper, boy, I think after as he said, the start he had on Friday, I think you said it at the top of the show, he thought it was one of the worst days he's ever had in racing. And he wanted to leave here grinning after that.
Well, he's running that dual program, running the Flying Lizard number 30 McLaren with Aaron Vogel, and they had technical issues on that car, couldn't even see qualifying, so it was a bad day all the way around the paddock for him. But that's what you do as a champion. You rebound and to good effect. Took a victory yesterday, took advantage of that restart, got the job done, and now he's got the lead here. But plenty of time on the clock for Spencer to try and recover.
And Andretti, you always get the feeling he's just lurking back there.
Yeah, he's just sussing it all out, isn't he? He just will not go away. He's so stubborn, so feisty. Now, Leia Fouge passing Courtney has allowed Dynan to really set his sights on Courtney for the lead in the AM class right here. For his 4th victory out of 5 events. Just a remarkable season so far for Michael Dynan.
Yeah, truly.
Returning to a track where he had a big incident here last year. But I think he's just so much more comfortable behind the wheel of this Aston Martin and really has found his comfort zone. Wow, did Courtney roll some speed through Oak Tree.
Oh, look at this.
Ready. So I just wonder whether Spencer's starting to lose some of that power he talked about. He's got overheating issues with that Porsche, and he says it just really falls flat. I just lose a lot of straightaway speed as soon as I start to get into a temperature range that the engine doesn't like. 2 times now he's been passed super early on the straightaway.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's still early times in this race, so that's got to be a bit of a concern as well. Temperature right now is right around 90 degrees, close to 100 in terms of adding in the humidity and what they call the real feel. So, and the problem is heat's one thing, but when you add humidity, it makes it even harder to dissipate the heat.
Yeah, just that air coming off the track surface, and particularly when you're for another car with the hot air coming from the engine and everything. Leia Fouge takes another overall position there, gets around Pesek.
And that's for class position as well, so that puts him up now into 5th in the pro category.
He's having a fun drive here from the back of the pack.
We've seen him do this before, haven't we, where he has put together some amazing charges and come up through the field.
He's super talented. He's one of these drivers in our paddock that we don't underrate it, but certainly maybe doesn't have the star name of some of the other drivers in our paddock, but when you put him behind the wheel, he just wins races, it seems.
Yeah. Sets fast laps, and he's just really remarkable, and he's had this long association with Stephen Cameron.
He ticks all the boxes. He's good to get along with. He's a really friendly guy. He's fast, technically astute, and just willing to really work hard in co-driving and mentoring an AM driver like Sean Quinlan. And Sean has come on gangbusters over the last couple of seasons because of that.
He's been very impressive, certainly here this weekend. You're right. And the other component is as we saw, Greg exhibits great sportsmanship too, knowing that he didn't want to interfere. He'd race Courtney hard, but he sure wasn't going to squeeze him or touch him or anything along those lines here.
Andretti just laid down the fastest lap of the race, so they're certainly pacing that Andretti Autosport McLaren today. They've been tweaking on it throughout the course of the weekend. It seems to be getting stronger and stronger by the day and by the race. one of the advantages of running in both Sprint and Sprint X. You're just accumulating data.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And of course, this weekend in this season, Cooper's going to be doing the same with that Flying Lizard program. Boy, and these two have really put a little bit of a gap on Pumpelly now.
That may be good for Spencer in terms of getting those temps down a little bit.
I wonder if that's exactly what, because his lap time, he just dropped into the mid 156s while the others are running 55s, and I think that might be, you hope that's all it was, is that he just said, I've just got to back out of it a little bit here and let this cool down and then mount another charge.
And even though it's very early days in this 2020 championship season with the lockdown and the gap in the schedule that we've had over the last 4 months, there's only 12 points separating the top 4 in the championship. Cooper leads the way with 75, Pumpelly 2 behind. Stavely is 8 points out of the lead, and Andretti 12 points out of the lead. So it's still pretty tight. So all of these positions have a real big effect in terms of who's going to walk away with the lead here tonight.
Getting a report from pit lane that nothing being reported yet regarding TRG of there being any specific issue with Spencer. He's just managing things a little bit and just making sure he's far enough back to get some cool air in there and ride there for a little bit.
Yeah, let's take a look at the trap speeds here. 248 for both McLarens, 243 kph.
Ooh.
So it's just over 150 miles an hour as Clennon has a quick off there in Oak Tree.
Yeah, I'm not sure he got into anything. And the Premier Copier, KPR, Sin R1.
Such a tricky corner. If you get in there a little bit wide, actually you lost the tail coming in through there. So it's just a really tricky corner. If you try and take too much out of turn 11, you think, oh, I can go through a little bit quicker. Before you know it, you got problems on the entry to Oak Tree.
Yeah, here if he can't get this, I assume it's a problem with a restart here, trying to get it going again. And if he can't, that's definitely going to be bringing out a yellow. But they'll give him as much time as they possibly can. See if he can get that going again. Like you said, sometimes you're a little flustered after that moment. You need the calming voice of your engineer or coach or whatever to say, okay, here's what you have to do.
Yep.
You know, hit these buttons on the wheel. And
temperatures are hot in more ways than one.
Yes.
In terms of the body and the car and the cockpit and everything. So you get a little bit flustered here, but they're coming up on that sector of the racetrack.
Looks like he moved. He was able to get clear of that.
Cooper's put a nice little gap between himself and Andretti here out front. Yeah, I don't see the Sin in that corner any longer, so it looks like Clennon has been able to get back underway.
You always know where Stavely is on that racetrack. Stavely or Pesic, either of them.
Like when I drove for Jack Roush at Daytona, you'd go back to the camper and have a nap, and you wake up, are we still running? You didn't even have to look outside or see a leaderboard. You could hear the noise of that rumbling Jack Roush V8.
Here's a look at James Pesic in the PF Racing in pink number 40. And running some really good laps. And I wonder if he pushed those Pirellis a little bit too much, because now Courtney has been able to close down on him. And it might just be Courtney's up in the end. It is. Courtney just turned to 156.7. It isn't so much that Pesic slowed down. It's that Courtney's picked his pace up as he's gapped Dynan and run down Pesic.
Yeah, I mean, Dynan was right on his tail a short while ago. Now the gap's about 1.5 seconds. So Courtney's found the sweet spot. The temperatures have found their range. That's given him the confidence behind the wheel. He's been pretty frustrated with himself that he hasn't been able to turn his performance here this weekend into a couple of wins so far. So I'm sure he'd like to straighten that out before we finish off with the third of this triple header weekend.
I'll tell you one thing about the way Courtney drives. He's really good with tires. Relative to other cars in the field, often the latter half of the race, he is suddenly a bit quicker than everybody else. Certainly in his class, we've seen that happen, and he's starting to pick that pace up smartly once again here. He's got that margin back to Dynan now to over 2 seconds, almost 2.2. another 2.5 to Bell, and then Terry, then Burton, and then Gannett and Clennon.
Leofouge has laid down the fastest lap of the race at a 55.2, and on the last lap was a 55.5, which was over a second quicker than Stavely, so that gap has been evaporated really quickly.
Wow. Well, that Bimmer, the Bimmer, has certainly been very, very stout here, whether it's from Bimmer World, whether it's from other teams like Classic BMW or Steve Cameron Racing. Those cars, they just like this track.
It's a really strong circuit for them, but you can see right at the end of the straightaway, the Mustang just pulls him a little bit. BMW's really strong through the middle sector of the straightaway, it seems. Oh.
Almost looked to me like like Greg
down.
Lift. Oh, there's a caution.
Is laid down. Oh, there you go.
So, yeah, I thought
so
I saw
focused on the cars.
I know. And I saw what it looked like. He suddenly just lifted or something happened, and that was it's like, what was that all about? Was that just more gentlemanliness going, well, Stavely's in this points championship?
Yeah, well, I saw the Mustang stretch at the end of the straightaway. I was like, oh, I haven't really seen that all day. Oh, Clennon is still there.
Is still there. So, well, there you go. You know, they gave him every opportunity, but remember, he had that, I wonder if this might be, if that spin may have been caused by an electrical issue, and you get a cutout like he had the other day, and it just suddenly cuts out your mid-corner. It can snap you into a spin in a hurry.
Big time. It just throws all the weight forward at a critical moment. So there we see the very end of the moment that he had coming through turn 11. And when the leaders went through that corner, I looked, but I couldn't even catch a glimpse of the car there. It was just outside the camera shot.
So the lights are already out on the Acura NSX, the official safety vehicle of SRO Motorsports America. So we anticipate that would mean we'd be getting back to green flag here, right about the halfway point of this race. And everybody gets that little reset. The gap that had opened up between Andretti and Pompelli will be gone, but so too will he have Stavely right there, and a really fast Greg Leofouge now finds himself in a position to do something. What does Greg do in this scenario?
He's just thinking one thing, get on the podium, try and win this race. He's got the speed to do it. He's the fastest man on the racetrack so far today.
I was thinking more on, you know, every pass he makes now, he takes points away from full season competitors in the class, but hey, his job is to win. That's what.
Might as well not go out there if you're going to.
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
He's going to be focused forward, that's for sure.
As gentlemanly as he is, I don't think there's a lot of after you in Greg Leofouge's mentality. And Frank Gannett, teammate to Drew Stavely. He'll be able to make up the little deficit he had, get to the back of this pack as well. This will be interesting because Courtney had opened up that margin on Dynan, and he was right with Pesic, so this is just compressing everything. It's going to be fun to see who deals with this a little bit better.
I think they'll probably just get Mark towed to that secondary pit lane just out of this corner here on the left and leave him there till the end of the race, I would imagine, to try and maximize the green flag running time we have left.
Well, now the lights are back on the safety vehicle, so, or did they just turn them off again? It looks like they went out, so yep, here we go.
Didn't see a lot of weaving around trying to clean these tires up that we saw yesterday from Michael Cooper, so maybe if we are going back to green, it may have caught him out in terms of prepping the tires.
He went, that's a smart thing, you go right at the point of the corner where the guy behind you can't quite grab throttle yet. Oh, and this is interesting. Stavely with Leofouge right behind him on Pompelli heading down into turn 1. Stavely's going to look to the inside. The brakes on that Porsche still working fine, and Stavely, I think, more concerned now with Leofouge.
He is. Best restart there for Spencer has allowed the two McLarens to gap him immediately. I thought he would be trying to take advantage of maybe relatively cold tire situation on this restart. Look at Courtney, he's a really rolling speed with that Mercedes. It is definitely hooked up. The team has done a great job putting a good setup underneath him. He's already gapped Michael Dynan just a little bit. So as the two McLarens continue to lead, then Spencer Pompelli.
He was another one of those team/drivers that you know, they decided to move away from the Maserati. He got that car relatively late. Dakota didn't have a ton of time to be able to test and learn and develop and all of that. And during this break, I think he's one of those guys that break may have really benefited in a sense.
Oh, big time. Just a chance to really go through the data that you've done. I'm not sure how much testing they got done in that break, but certainly he's come out here very strong this week. It's been a long week of testing and stuff. Guys were running as early as Wednesday this week in prep for the weekend.
And Ryan Marine busy down in pit lane. What are you hearing?
Couple of things, guys. First, an update on Mark Clennon, and evidently after going off track, the team was talking him through getting the car restarted and at some point lost communication, so they speculate perhaps they ran the battery out on that car. But also, next to them in pit lane is the Stephen Cameron Racing team, and you told the story earlier about Sean Quinlan not feeling 100%, turning this car over to Greg Leofoge, and Sean is here in the pit lane in civvies. He's watching the race. Just like the folks at home are, and he's cheering on the car. He said, I'm not feeling 100%, but it does me good to see the car running so fast with Greg behind the wheel.
Well, and Greg might just be picking up a spot here as well as he got down to the inside of Drew Stavely. Down that run down the front straight, he is through. Stavely thinking about the over-under. Leofoge has that BMW in the right spot, it appears, Cal, and he makes it stick.
Yeah, he's got a podium car, I think. I mean, Spencer's not going to make it easy, but it seems like Greg has the pace to maybe run him down and starting to put the pressure on. Probably been beating on those tires pretty hard, so that little breather with the safety car will certainly play into his hands as well.
Just a couple of minutes under now, halfway remaining in this one. Dynan has reeled in Courtney. You see that white fading to blue Mercedes and that midnight blue Aston Martin.
Behind them, there's a battle intensifying between Jason Bell and Paul Terry as well. They're in close proximity. You see them coming up through the S's.
Yeah, and the 191, the Reardon Aston Martin and Jeff Burton is right on the backside of Terry's. They're team cars, essentially, both Reardon and Aston Martin, so that's a good run.
Pesic has looked really good here this weekend, looked really tidy, done some good driving, good pace, made some great overtakes yesterday.
Interesting to see as close as Courtney is now, if he's got anything at the end of the straight. It looks like that the Mustangs just got enough pull there, Cal.
I always think about Mustangs like a point and shoot kind of race car where it's all about power down the straightaway, like a muscle car. But with this GT4 car, it's got a lot of downforce. It's really good on the brakes. You can see they're really effective through that final corner. James hustles it through there nicely and gaps James a little bit. Gaps Jeff a little bit, should I say.
Yeah, that was a great run down through Hogpen by Pesic to gap them there. Looks like Jason Bell has been able to find a little speed and has opened that margin up back to Paul Terry.
Jay O'Connell's here this weekend working with Multimatic and the PF Racing team. One of the best engineers in sports car racing, so good to have him here on board for this team, I would feel, really steering them in the right direction. The car looks to be handling really well. Stavely there, just really using all of the curves and running wide.
Pushing in hard. Here comes Jason Bell. He's that Global Motorsports Group, Osteria Kitchen and Bar and Highway Systems Porsche. He's got that little bit of a margin back to the Paul Terry truck and Reardon Aston Martin of Paul Terry, and then the similar Aston Martin. It's the 191 of Jeff Burton. That's the Burton Lumber entry, also out of the Reardon stable.
I just feel that Vesco Kozarov and company and Reardon Racing are going to really start to get some testing done and fine-tune these Aston Martins and get them a little bit further up the field. They're a great prep shop, have a multi-car operation, and I think by the time they get through this season, they'll be at the sharp end once again.
Well, they've Paul Terry, obviously at Circuit of the Americas, he had a couple of poles and a class win, so there is speed there, and as you said, just getting him a little even more seat time and acclimated to that car. We've seen Paul Terry. He is capable of some pretty serious pace on occasion. And if you get that to be a consistent scenario, That's exactly what you want. And here comes Leafouge.
Yeah, he's closed in on Pumpelly for sure.
He just turned a 155.25 and hit 257. His best lap was a while ago to 155.251. So he was just 6/1000ths of a second off of the fast lap of the race. His own here. With a little under 20 minutes to go.
Pumpelly's got right on the tail of Andretti once again, so it's given Michael Cooper a little bit of a breather out front.
I wonder if, I mean, Spencer's seeing Cooper now getting away, and it's like, well, if I'm going to have any shot at this, I got to get around Andretti now.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, though, because, I mean, the McLarens definitely have 2 or 3 miles an hour more speed than the Porsche down the straightaway here this weekend. You can see Spencer's car is really tidy there, really hooks up, great mechanical grip. Kevin Buckler and the whole TRG, the SRO Solution Group, has done a wonderful job engineering that car.
Yeah, it's sticking everywhere, there's no question. It's just get that run out of that corner. And a little tough to stick in the draft there at the end of that. Here's Stavely, here's Pesic.
As you said, time is running out for Pumpelly if he's going to do anything about the win. I'm sure he's got enough underneath him today to do it. Cooper's looking more and more confident up front, stretching that lead.
Courtney, of course, a AM class champion.
Pesic looked really good through that final corner. He just nails it every single lap. Things tightening up here between Andretti, Pumpelly, Leafouge. Out front is Michael Cooper. The gap now nearly 2 seconds. Gained 7/10 on Andretti on that last lap alone. So Michael Cooper looking strong. Going to be tough to beat here without any technical issues. But he won't be counting anything until it's done here. It's been a tough weekend.
Yes, exactly.
Turned itself around yesterday.
Boy, just watching him thread through there, and that's where you see just how good that Porsche is.
Leafouge looking for clean air to the front of that BMW. I wonder if he's running into some overheating issues as well.
Well, to make that charge through the pack, he's had to push that thing for everything it's worth, I'm sure.
So evenly matched here. Who's going to blink, if anyone? Spencer runs a slightly tighter line through that couple of corners, 11 and Oak Tree, to get into that back straightaway. Maybe conscious of the fact that the outside of the racetrack is really dirty. Is he again searching for air to the front of that Porsche, not following the draft of the car in front?
Yep. Gives Andretti that little bit of a margin. At the times here, last time through, Cooper turned a 155.2. Everybody else up in the upper 155s. See what happens this time through. Pesic turned his best lap last time through, so that's great to see. Let's see what we get for times now. Andretti slightly quicker than Cooper, just marginally, then Pumpelly off just by a couple of tenths.
Yeah, it's pretty much stalemate right now between these three. Not much to choose between them. No one seems to have a significant advantage. It seems like maybe Leafouge's momentum has been stalled. Let's see if he's just getting a little bit of a breather to have a charge here in the last 5-10 minutes of the race. Again, he was charging through the field, so you'd have to imagine that he was using the tires up a little bit, bit more than the others who are probably managing with the track position they had. Greg had to go on the attack from the back of the grid.
Here's Stavely, 5th in the pro class. Here's Pesic, 6th in the pro class, and still fending off Courtney, who's got Dynan in close concert. And it looks like Jason Bell has turned a couple of quick laps, and he's trimmed that deficit to Dynan down to under 2 seconds.
That's really strong to be running 8 races this weekend. As Ryan related to in an earlier story and be running this strong. And, you know, you can rehydrate all you want. It's about preparation coming in.
Exactly.
Very hot summer's day here, hot weekend. When you're jumping in and out of race cars 8 times, it's going to take its toll.
You hope he's got a physio that can spend some time with him here.
Andretti gabbing Spencer a little bit on this lap, it looks like. Across the stripe. Gap at the front. 1.8 the previous laps, up to 1.9, nearly 2 seconds. So Cooper continues to extend the lead. Pampelli, Leofouge, and Andretti covered by a second. You know, by this stage of the weekend, every one of these drivers knows every inch of the racetrack, every nuance, every little bump, every curve you can use. Where you're going to lose time if you run a bit wide. You're just trying to really experiment and find that little ounce of grip that maybe your competitor hasn't found yet.
Hoping against hope that somebody in front of you pushes it just a little hard, makes that little bit of a slip.
That's a great shot when they come up through the S's and just hop that curb there and just get a little bit light. Cooper continues to extend that margin. Really good first sector there. Super drive here by Michael. Really got his head down after a disappointing Friday. Just came back resilient yesterday. And that's what you expect from the Black Dog Speed Shop group. Of course, Tony Gapel's not competing here this weekend. Had to have emergency eye surgery. So Tony, if you're watching, we look forward to getting you back at Sonoma, mate. Team's doing a great job in your absence.
Yeah, first time since 17 he's missed a race, and I think the first time since he ever started racing what was then Pirelli World Challenge that he's missed an event, so it's a very different feel without Tony Gapels in this paddock, that's for sure. Jim Spencer down the hill, the LaSalle Solutions TRG Porsche, staying right with Andretti. This is an interesting little duel here, able to gap now Leofouge just a little bit. Back in the AM category ranks, Courtney continues to lead in the Wreck Stuff Mercedes over Dynan in the Flying Lizard Porsche, Jason Bell in the GMG Racing Porsche. Dynan in that Aston Martin, of course, so used to Lizards over the years running that mark, but Bell is in the GMG Racing Porsche, hanging on to third. Good potential podium here, and he's got a little bit of room, a little over a second to Paul Terry.
Looks like Spencer is up the ante here a little bit. He's closed in on Andretti. Gap is the largest being at the front. Cooper's lead on Andretti, nearly 2.3 seconds. So maybe Andretti's just backing up a little bit. Seems to be a different energy in Spencer Pampelli right now. He's on the attack again.
That margin for Cooper, 2.3 seconds essentially.
Just watch here. Seems like Spencer can really carve this corner a little bit more effectively through there than the McLaren in front of him. Oh, and he's through.
He carved it beautifully that time, yeah. And I think Jarrett may have just missed it a little bit, floated a little wide.
I could just sense through the first sector that the Porsche was really just able to grip a little bit more than the McLaren. Now the McLaren comes back at him, clears him. Spencer's going to hang tough. Can he take the brakes in?
No. He wanted to, though, didn't he?
That's frustrating for Spencer to make that move and then just get out-dragged by the time you get to the next brake zone. Just got to regroup. I think these cars are a little bit stronger than Jarrett's right now.
Jarrett's going to defend here, certainly all the way down to turn one until he gets that little bit of a margin that builds up again at the end of these straights.
Leofouge's got the best seat in the house as this battle continues.
Yep. Spencer thinking, well, if I can squeeze. And that really, if he can get a pass made into one, that's where he needs to do it, because he's so quick all the way through the snake and up through those S's, isn't
Maybe
he?
into 4. Watch this. See if he tries to undercut him here. Thought about it.
Yeah.
Jarrett got through turn 3 pretty good there. Seems like Jarrett's car has maybe gone away a little bit in the handling department, maybe peaked the tires. Cooper continues to extend that margin now up to nearly 3 seconds. I just wonder if Spencer has lost horsepower, lost engine performance. He talked about it to me on Friday. He said, yeah, we got the pole, but he said, when it gets hot, I'm really struggling. I need to be out front, can't be running in the dirty air. And that's what he's been doing for the majority of this race here today, as he slid beautifully through Oak Tree. Still clean, still got the power down coming off the corner, didn't lose anything. That's the one thing I like about Jared Andretti. There's almost a tendency, like a mentality, when you get past, well, it's done. It's not over with Jared Andretti.
No, never.
He's going to keep coming back at you.
He's just used to that too in that short track style of racing. You know, you pass, you just come right back at him and go, and it just makes it entertaining to watch any race he's in, because you never feel that he's out of it. Oh, Dynan has gone around Courtney.
Wow, can Jeff respond? He talked about the frustration of not getting a win and what he feels he should have maybe nailed down a victory here this weekend. Less than 10 minutes to go. He loses the lead to Michael Dynan, as Michael Dynan is now looking for his 4th victory in 5 events this season.
8 minutes to go. Let's see if Courtney now can stick with Dynan, or whether Dynan has a bit of a reserve built up here, Cal.
Courtney deep on the brakes. Michael just looks so confident in this car, just not even a trace of a blip or a mistake. Sharing the car with Robbie Foley in the Sprint X competition. They haven't had the best success there this weekend, but certainly in this sprint format in the AM category, Michael's been dynamite.
Yeah, he has, and continue to be impressed. Jason Bell, after the huge workload he's had here, still right there in that GMG Racing Porsche, sitting in that 3rd spot. He's been able to open up another half a second back to Burton. Oh, and Andretti off.
Goes through the high-speed S's. He's cutting across to the exit of Oak Tree here. And so Leah Fouge is through for a podium run. Probably through turn 10, I would imagine. Let's take a look at it. Oh, no, it's before that.
Yeah, he ran.
Whoa! That was a wild ride.
Incredibly close.
Almost into Leah Fouge at the same time. Through 9, he must have lost it a little bit and understeered wide and went straight through the grass.
Sprint midget race, you call that being up on the bike.
Wow.
Yeah, unbelievable. Looks like he's got a fair amount of debris packed into those rads too, so he's going to have to be mindful of that. So that's going to put Leah Fouge now up into the 3rd spot. There
Great
he is.
drive.
Yeah.
Back of the pack up to a podium. Car's had pace. Up front gap, 4 seconds. Cooper looking super strong here to collect the 2nd win of the weekend. It's going to be a battle for those final podium spots. Spencer's got a nice gap on Leah Fouge now, so everyone's settling in.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds in the AM class too, with Dynan and Courtney here, with that battle being so close. Cooper's got that 4-second margin. We'll see what, if anything, Leah Fouge has left in the quiver to try and take a run at Pumpelly, but this AM battle looks really good.
Cooper right now is all he's thinking is about hitting his marks and not getting into those marbles that are starting to build on the outside of the racing line. See Spencer there just really runs kind of 2/3 of the way across the racetrack. I like that, super consistent. Doesn't risk getting into the dust and debris and missing the corner. Take another look at this, Greg. So he loses it through 9, runs wide, just straight through the corner. Lucky he didn't get into either Spencer or Greg there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the problem. You spear back across the track in traffic if it's there, and that's when it can get really, really sketchy. But everything seems to have worked out, although I think he might have a car that's running a little warmer than he'd like it right now with some of those clippings. Look at this. Courtney going back after Dynan. Dynan's got the inside here. Can Courtney stay put? And no.
That was awesome racing, though.
Great stuff.
That's as close as you can get without contact. And I think Michael's just a little bit vulnerable down the straightaway. The Aston doesn't quite seem to have the terminal speed as to some of the other brands. So Jeff got into position. He was in the left side of the road, but Michael just kept it together. Really great car control there and good respect between the two drivers.
And now we'll see in that little bit of battling there, Jason Bell, who is about 2 seconds adrift of Courtney in the GMG Racing Porsche, now 1.3.
Yeah,
he's joining this battle.
That's awesome. That is a great run for Jason. His best lap was a 10th quicker than the 3 guys in front of him. Should be really chuffed about this. I mean, this is a great run to be this late into an 8-race weekend to be performing at this level is superb. Can he pull a surprise here in the last 3 minutes of this race and move further up the podium? Certainly got the momentum. Looks like Dynan's taken off a little bit from Jeff Courtney here. It's Courtney vulnerable to Jason Bell here with a couple of laps to go.
Ah, I see the midnight blue there, that flash of sunlight. It's going to be interesting here to see what Courtney can do here. He's got some really good steam down this straight, doesn't he?
He does. I think he's a little bit too far back to even think about being close to him into the brake zone. But yeah, he does seem to have a slight advantage there. Everyone doing such a consistent job. Plummeting down the hill, big elevation change here. If you eat too much of that inside curve through 17, it'll just throw you out wide as we focus now back on the leader approaching turn 3.
So we got this lap and one more. The time left on the clock. There's Pumpelly. Looks like he's been able to stabilize that margin to Leofoge. Andretti still 4th, Stavely and Pesic, top 6 All-Pro. There's Spencer, LaSalle Solutions, Racers Group Porsche. And Leofoge behind him in the Cameron Racing products.
He's a big blows, though, in terms of the championship. That gap between 1st and 2nd is 7 points. So that swing yesterday was a 14-point swing, with Cooper getting around Pumpelly for the win. And he's going to gain another 7 points here today if he can seal the deal with another victory and Spencer in the runner-up position. Got the fast hands there late in the going. Car's really given up in terms of grip, and Greg's trying to wring every ounce of performance out of that car in these last few minutes.
1 to go, so that's what we'll see at start-finish, too. The indication 1 lap to go for Michael Cooper in the Black Duck Speed Shop. McLaren 570.
Well, it was a lot of work for that crew to get this car sorted out, but Ray Sorensen and that whole team have so much experience, so much belief, and they know if they give Michael the tools, there they are. Mark Whiter, the engineer. So much success over the years. He's just got great chemistry with Michael Cooper reunited. They ran together a few years back, and they're just a great fit, great chemistry, know each other's language in terms of the car setup, and seem to get the most out of this McLaren.
So that white flag flying at the starter stand. We are on the final lap, and Spencer really flowing out wide around that corner, just trying to carry every ounce of momentum he's got, isn't he?
Yeah, the car looks good. He just seemed to leave us a little bit of pace there, didn't he, through the middle part of the race? And be curious to have a chat with him and see if it was temperature related or not. But this thing is getting tight here.
It really is, and there is Bell still right in that window. He's dropped back just a smidge. In fact, I see Burton now has closed up on Jason Bell a little bit. And the Burton Lumber Reardon Aston Martin behind them, but this battle for the win in AM is pretty fascinating, especially with Pesic right there.
Well, I think that's a problem for Dynan. He's got Pesic right there, and he seems to have a little bit more pace than James at this late stage of the race, flashing his lights, and that's allowed James to get right on his bumper. And you know, if Courtney can get a really good run coming out of the last corner off Oak Tree, he may be able to make something stick there as the rest of the Flying Lizard group looks on.
Meanwhile, here comes Cooper down into the roller coaster for the final time. Just a few corners to go. The McLaren factory driver on the rails here. He has put a good one in. Just got a couple more corners to negotiate, and one of the trickiest is the last one right here. He gives it a lot of respect, Cal. And onto the front straight. Second day in a row, Black Dog Speed Shop and Michael Cooper bring home a win at VIR for McLaren. And that crew absolutely delighted. Spencer Pumpelly for LaSalle Solutions and TRG. Greg Leafoge for Cameron Race Products in the BMW. Meanwhile, here we go, the battle for the win in AM. And Dynan looking to add another win. Can Courtney, does he have anything left here? It's going to be a drafting duel. It's not going to be enough. And the Flying Lizard, Aston Martin, gets yet another win on the season. And Courtney, this is his third straight second this weekend in the AM class.
Still a great performance, but I know Jeff will be frustrated by that. But congratulations, Michael Dynan. Another victory, 4 out of 5. Fantastic stuff, and what a turnaround for the Black Dog Speed Shop group. Technical issues throughout the beginning of the weekend, got them sorted out, and Michael delivers, taking another win. I think Spencer's going to be a little bit frustrated. 3 poles, but only 1 victory out of the 3 races, and that's going to be tough to take.
When you made the comment early in the weekend, if you can get things right in a 3-race event, it can make a big difference in the championship, good or bad, if you don't get things right. But it can happen here, and after what looked like a pretty brutal Friday, that Black Dog Speed Shop team got it right. And there you see the results here provisionally. Cooper, Pumpelly, Leafoge, that is your podium. And Jared Andretti 4th, Drew Stavely 5th, and James Pesic 6th, rounding out the pro category. And then sweeping the weekend, Michael Dynan in that Flying Lizard Aston Martin, and he had a win at Circuit of the Americas as well. So just a phenomenal start to the season. Jeff Courtney in the Mercedes from Rec Stuff, beautiful run. Jason Bell in the GMG Racing Porsche gets the podium in the AM category, fending off Jeff Burton in the Burton Lumber Aston Martin from Reardon Racing, the Team Reardon car. Paul Terry, the Paul Terry trucking machine, then Frank Gannett in the G3 Racing, Ian Lacey Racing Mustang, and completing the field, Mark Glennon, who had that bit of an issue up in Oak Tree and went down a number of laps in this one. But as always in these sprint races, it's an intriguing dynamic that we watch unfold with the caliber of these drivers at the sharp end of this and the real talent in that AM field as well. It just makes these races so interesting, so compelling.
It really does. Wherever you look throughout the field, there's always a good battle going on. But for Michael Cooper, boy, was he on form here this weekend. I mean, to rebound like he did yesterday, take advantage of a restart, grab the lead, maximize the points that day, and just came out of the box even stronger here today. Once he got to the front, it seemed like he was in total control.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the turn you like to make because you know you're heading into the victory circle area. That's a nice move right there. This means for the second straight day, he will have the masked bandit of pit lane, Ryan Marine. Be wandering over and having a chat with him, but that was a great run. Look at that. Good celebrations unfolding.
That was awesome. Champion's drive right there.
I'm just trying to find a bridge.
Let's take a look at some highlights here. Spencer Pumpelly, as you said, third pole of the weekend. And Cooper had designs on it here, but Spencer was able to hang on for the lead there as Andretti slotted into third, then Stavely in the Mustang in fourth.
Looked like Spencer's car came to life early, but before a lap or two was underway, suddenly he was feeling the heat from behind from Michael Cooper.
Winding their way through this technical section of track. Meanwhile, Greg Leofoe started to march up through the field. They're starting dead last, replacing Sean Quinlan. He's running as a pro in this one in Sean's AM car. And he got to the point where he got up and put on a great duel here.
He didn't want to give it up, though. This was awesome racing here as they come through turn 3 into turn 4. Courtney maintains that position.
And right there, Leopold showing real sportsmanship, going, that's not my class, don't want to mess him up. Gave him the room. Shortly thereafter there, Cooper, though, was able to get through on Spencer heading into the roller coaster.
Yeah, we wonder if Pumpelly had some overheating issues. He seemed to be down on power a little bit down the straightaway, and then a big moment in the race, almost up and over for Jared Andretti. Narrowly misses Spencer Pumpelly and Greg Leofoe.
And this is where Michael Dinan, who's been really on form this year, loves this new Flying Lizard Aston Martin and sneaks through on Jeff Courtney and picks up the lead in the AM category. But in the end, overall, it was McLaren, Cooper, and Black Dog getting their second straight win. Pumpelly second with a win, 2 seconds and 3 poles. A good weekend, and Leofoe completing the pro podium as they come through. And there's that beautiful LaSalle Solutions machine from the Racers Group. Spencer Pumpelly giving it a great ride. But Ryan has found the guy who climbed out of this beautiful black beast.
And guys, you told the story. It was a roller coaster weekend for Michael Cooper. Michael, you called Friday the worst day of your racing career. From those lows to 2 consecutive wins and a solid points lead leading VIR. Could you see the light at the end of the tunnel back on Friday?
Yeah, the results on Friday were definitely the worst I've had in one day. And I said to Ray Sorensen, the Black Dog team manager, in the trailer after the race, I'm like, it ain't over. You know, it's early days in the championship, and I've been fortunate to have some good teammates over the years to teach me that. I have to give a big shout out to Tony Gaples, who normally my teammate. Tony is Black Dog. Tony couldn't be here this weekend because of injury, but we're hoping to have him at the next race at Sonoma. Looking forward to having you back in the trailer, buddy. This one's definitely for you. I'm hoping you're watching at home.
Congratulations. Great job.
Ryan.
Yeah, you can see the grin underneath that that mask there, and well-deserved. Just a superb turnaround from what looked like a bleak start to the weekend, as we've been documenting here a bit. Here's a look at the AM category. Courtney leading most of it, and then Dinan sneaking through late. Cal, a great run for Michael Dinan once again.
It was superb, 4 out of 5. I mean, that's an extraordinary start to a championship season, even with a 4-month break between the events. So great job by him and the whole Flying Lizard group. But I think Michael Cooper may have been relating to old Johnny Red, Johnny O'Connell, in terms of saying, don't give up, it ain't over yet. We've seen him take many championship titles from, you know, deep in a hole, and you just got to keep digging.
You absolutely do. And a guy who dug this whole race and found a way around the leader for the win, Michael Dinan, is with Ryan.
5 races, like you said, in that 5th race, well, that was a 2nd place. So it's been a great season to this point for Michael Dinan. Michael, you had to work to get that one here today, but to come out of this weekend with 3 wins, especially at this track, which wasn't terribly kind to you 1 year ago, is there some vindication in that result?
Yeah, definitely. You know, last year I had the pace here. It was one of my best tracks in terms of qualifying for the whole season. And to really put everything together this weekend and see these results is amazing. Everyone on the team, we had 6 races here, did such a great job, and to get all 3 here, there's nothing more I could have wanted out of the weekend. So yeah, definitely a vindication. I would say that of all the tracks, this is one of my favorite that we race at, so really happy to win here.
Great result this weekend. Congratulations. We'll see you here soon.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Didn't they do all 6 of those races in the same car?
They did, yeah. They had technical issues with the other cars, so...
Yeah, pretty impressive stuff. So that wraps it up here at as what has been an absolutely hectic and beautifully enjoyable weekend at Virginia International Raceway, back at a racetrack for real for Pirelli GT4 America Sprint competition. Round 5 in the books. Next time, in about a month's time, we'll be at Sonoma Raceway in the Bay Area of California. A very different track, but equally entertaining. Please come back and join us. We'll see you then.